internet today.
You know what? I'm a bit worried about the same thing. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good.
Yeah, our internet has been really bad the past couple days, so we'll see how it goes. If we get cut off, I'll just rejoin. And we have like 2 different internet providers here, so I might switch to the other one, but it wasn't even showing up as an option, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
Totally, let's just go with it and see what happens. I'm actually laughing because I had planned to do this in our studio, which, as you guys know, we have a lovely, big, bright studio. But we actually have not 1, but 2 construction crews with our 2 neighbours. So we've got people drilling bricks in one direction and people hammering a deck in the other. So I am shoehorned into a bit of a corner here, but we're going to make it work.
It's all silence around us, but they were mowing down all of that's not what that's called, cultivating, harvesting all of the wheat around us the other day, so it was like super noisy and like looked like a weird dust storm here. So yeah, it's quiet right now. No, they're not, they're all done over there, so it's just silence.
Okay, good.
Walking down the lane, and it's lovely. I love having like a farmer's path to walk down whenever I want. I don't have to like go anywhere to go for a stroll.
You know what? I feel so lucky too, especially right now. I think to have outdoor space, it's a massive privilege, and I feel very grateful for the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, us as well. It's especially, I was saying recently in my like last post that I feel like usually our summers are so overwhelming. Like we have a lot of people coming and going. We're usually running different workshops and like doing some prep for some event or show or whatever. And usually like the summer just seems to like blast past us, and we don't really like go outside necessarily and just like sit or enjoy it. And it's been nice this summer to actually feel like, I don't know, like I can be outside on the hammock, like reading a book and seeing what that feels like. It's really lovely.
I feel the exact same thing. Full disclosure, so it's been a very, very busy week here. However, yesterday afternoon, I was swimming in the lake with some friends.
Oh, that's great.
And,
that is great.
With friends and with snakes. We saw lots of snakes.
No, thank you. Like water snakes?
There was a lot of snakes. But I totally agree with you. It's been such a unique and challenging time, but I can really relate to what you just said, because I think not only in my personal life, but also in my work, I think just what's been going on has really made you, some things have just had to change and be forced to stop maybe plans that we all had that we can no longer follow through on. But something seems to have clicked into a really nice place with me too, where I feel like I'm just focusing my energy where I want to. And I don't know, I strangely don't see I normally have that same mania. I don't do the same types of things you do with, dealing with workshops and stuff, but I tend to get a bit manic in what I'm doing. And I don't know, I still seem to be getting a lot done, but I'm just kind of a bit more going with the flow, because I think I have a bit more of a new appreciation of life and don't want it just to... I totally agree with you that often in the summer you get to the end of it and it's that end of summer feeling and you feel like you really didn't spend that much time outside. So
yeah, and then it's like, okay, darkness again, so cool.
Yeah,
glad I skipped all the outside time. Yeah, I mean, I think that because everything has changed so drastically for us, and I was like in a real stoop of sadness for like months. I think that like anything that feels joyful and nice, I'm like, okay, let's latch on to that. And if it means like being outside and allowing myself to not feel stressed and guilty about like sitting outside for a little while, then then I'm gonna like appreciate that feeling and not put pressure on myself to not enjoy it because of circumstance, if that makes sense. So,
absolutely.
So yeah, that's what's been going on here. We're so happy to have you,
Thank you
chatting with us today.
To participate. So I just want to say something too. So when we get to that point, the first piece of artwork I'm showing is framed in glass. So I have one of my shears across right now, so I'm slightly dimly lit, but it's for the purpose of the art. Once we've shown that piece, I will brighten it up a bit.
No problem. I took the one that we're showing out of the frame so that we wouldn't have to worry, but it was a really easy frame to get it out of, so that was why. It's not like
shadow box, so I decided not to do that, but hopefully it will get to plan.
It'll probably be just fine.
Yeah. No, we're so excited. This has been like a fun project that we're gonna keep doing, so it's been like really nice to just sit and like catch up with people that we haven't seen in a while and people that have stayed with us or that we've worked with. So yeah, if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what it is that you do, that would be great.
Sure. So I am a surface pattern designer, meaning that I like to create designs and motifs that can be basically translated across the surface of just about anything. I specialize in wallpaper, and I have an ongoing collaboration with a brilliant company based in Old Montreal called All You Need Is Love, or Vinyl for short. And they handle all of the printing, the sales, and the distribution of my wallpaper so that I can focus on designing. So
Love that.
To give you a little bit more information about myself, which obviously you guys know, but maybe other people don't. So I'm originally from England.
Oh, that's the accent.
And I moved to Canada in the year 2000 after completing my fine art degree in the north of England. As a part of my final degree show, I hand printed some wallpaper, and that experience really stuck with me. When I moved to Canada, I settled in Toronto, and I ended up pursuing a career in television commercials and advertising. And I did that job for 10 years, and it was a fantastic job working for a fantastic company, but all of my close friends knew that I really wanted to design wallpaper. It was obviously very, very specific, but I really wanted to do that. So it was back in 2012 that I made some radical changes in my life, and I left Toronto, left my job, moved to the countryside, at that point to Prince Edward County, close to where you guys are. And it was 4.5 years ago that I launched my business. So when I first launched, I had one collection of designs that was inspired by Prince Edward County, and a small line of table linens. It was probably about, I think, a year later, at the end of 2016, that I launched my first wallpaper collection with vinyl. And that collection was inspired by Prince Edward County. And
there's so many good designs in that collection.
It really, I think, resonated with people. And it's funny to look back, because I think out of that first collection, the most popular design was the water towers, which featured, it's a wallpaper that has water towers on it, featuring the water towers of Prince Edward County. So the visual of that is exactly as odd as you would imagine, but people really just loved it. And I think it was something different, and people were ready for that, which I think surprised me as much as anybody. But anyway, so I now have, that was back at the end of 2016. And the wallpaper first went on show at Angeline's in Prince Edward County. And then became available for public purchase. I now have 4 collections of wallpaper with vinyl, and I'm getting ready to launch a 5th which is very exciting.
That is super
That is
exciting.
exciting.
Yeah, and just to give you a little bit of information, so my process in designing the wallpaper, so I obviously the first part is coming up with my inspirations, which I have lots of ideas. I have endless collections ahead in my imagination, but coming up, bringing those ideas together and then working on sketches. I then work in a very analog way on a light table, and I use Indian ink, brush and fine line pen on thin transparencies on a light table. I then scan those elements into my computer, colour them and create the repeat patterns. So the final designs have quite an organic feel to them.
Yeah, which is lovely.
Yeah.
And I think like the different textures that you're getting with those different tools is like pretty apparent as well.
I think so too, and I think, as you guys know, when I was first getting started, I think I thought I wanted to hand print the papers as I had done back in England, but then I think I realised that it was the designing more that I wanted to be spending the time on, but I like how the process I use, sometimes the designs almost look like a screen print because they're very flat colours, and with the different mark making kind of layered with the flat colours, it, even though they are produced by vinyl, digitally printed, there is kind of that hand drawn feel that you still get with the work. So I like how the, you know, the process feeds into the final product still.
Well, and I think that's such a valuable thing to like realize too, like what part of the process you're most interested in, and then allowing yourself to just like focus on that and not feel like you have to do the entire thing, because then ultimately it makes the end product just that much better because you've actually invested 100% of your energy into the part that you're most interested in. I feel like I am such a, I don't know, I have like an inner conflict with myself, and you and I have talked about this, about just that fact. Like, I really love printmaking, but I really like creating visuals, and sometimes I think there's this battle between like forcing myself to make the printed version, even though it might be stronger if I didn't do that end and allowed myself to just work on the imagery instead of feeling like it also has to be hand printed by me for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know. It's a challenging one.
It is challenging, and I think for many people out there too. So whether you're kind of working in a fine art medium or you want to be a designer, I think a lot of people come and ask, and I'm sure you find the same, about questions. How did you get started? Or how did you work through this? And the truth is that there's no easy answers for anyone. And I think the thought that I really wanted to hand print the wallpaper when I first was like trying to bring everything together, because I had, you know, your imagination is always much further advanced than your practical, you know, abilities, but you have to work through those challenging torments to get to the process that's just, then you kind of gain some traction and can get going.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I love your work, Kate, and it's been nice to like post it up, because Johnny also just takes such beautiful images of everything, so it's just like, yeah, I've been like saving all of the videos, the stories that I put up, because it just like, everything's so, I don't know, bright and fun, and it makes you want to be in that environment. So yeah, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because it's working.
Oh, thanks so much, Chrissy. Thank you.
So for the show and tell end, also this is Kate Golding, because she didn't actually say her name.
Oh, sorry.
So for the show and tell end, we can start or you can start. It's completely your call. But we'll alternate. So we'll show something or you'll show something, and then we'll trade off, if that makes sense.
Okay, I don't mind. Yeah. I'm ready to go, but I don't mind. Shall I start?
You go first. Yeah, you start.
Okay. Okay, then we can brighten it up after. So let me just see whether this is going to.
Oh, it's large.
It is large, which is why. Okay, let's just make sure.
I don't want great.
Yeah, I can. Oh, kind of. Oh. So you're not actually getting. Oh, I think this works because you're not getting too much reflection there.
Yeah, no, it's not
no
bad.
Reflection. It's
okay,
great.
Good. So, being asked to select 3 pieces of work, I kind of went with a theme. So today's theme is Newfoundland.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, just to give a few cliff notes to start with, very, very quickly. Back in 2017, I was invited by a gentleman involved in Newfoundland tourism to go to Newfoundland to create a collection of wallpaper. So back in May, June of 2017, my husband Johnny and I, so Johnny was mentioned briefly earlier, he's a photographer and he also photographs my work. We travelled to Newfoundland and I was working on immersing myself in the environment to gather inspiration for my collection of designs. So my first piece of work for show and tell today is an original etching. It's by a Newfoundland artist, and I will in a second, I'm going to pull it forward. So it's by a Newfoundland artist called Janet Davis of Norton Cove Studio. Are you familiar with her, or?
I feel like I am.
It's
that
hard.
name is
when you're
really.
Like, when you say Janet and Davis, you're like, those are 2 names I definitely know. Is that the person that I'm thinking of?
Yeah. Continue. Very familiar.
Okay, so Janet has. So we, as you do when you're traveling, we discovered Janet completely by chance. She has the most beautiful studio located in a place called Brookfield in the New West Valley, which is on the most stunning rugged coastline in Newfoundland. So as a part of our journey, we started in St. John's. I spent the majority of my time in the Bonavista region, and then at the latter part of our trip we drove from Bonavista towards Gander to catch the I can't remember the port town, but to catch the ferry to Fogo Island at the end of our trip. And we took, of course, as you do when you're traveling, we took the scenic route. And we had one of those moments when you're driving along, you see something and you say, we need to go back. And we just drove past, we saw something, we need to go back and check this out. So Janet has a beautiful studio, which is, I think it was like an old general store or something, loaded with the most beautiful. She does original paintings, she does lino cuts, this beautiful etching work, and she also is a fiber and textile artist.
Okay, that's a lot.
Interdisciplinary.
Yeah. Just a few couple more quick things because I really want to give this shout out. So this piece is called Cod's Fish, but her final edition is called, I don't want to get this wrong, right-handed round tail. But salted cod is a big part of the Newfoundland culture. So they salt the cod and then dry the cod on these most spectacular racks on the coastline. And which we didn't get to see any actual cod drying because it was too cold when we were there, but we saw the racks. And when we spotted this piece, it almost looks like the cod itself has been pressed into the paper.
Well, that's what I thought maybe when you first pulled it out.
See, that's where we get the reflection. I didn't know that actually that's probably a bit worse, but you can kind of see the beautiful textures.
Yeah.
And you said this was an etching? This is a huge etching.
Yes.
This is a huge etching. It's so nice.
It's quite beautiful. And we have it.
Is it aqua tinted, Kate? Do you know? Can you tell? Like, does it look? Is it aqua tint or is it like all like drawn marks? Like when you look at it, does it look like it has like a dimply sort of texture, or does it have like a line texture. It's hard to describe that, I'm realizing now. Does it look sandpapery?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't look sandpapery, but it is textural, and it just has this beautiful, like sensitive. It just captures that. It is the salted cod. It's so subtle and beautiful.
Did all of her work sort of reference the place where she lives? Like,
yes.
This is so referential of that area.
Yes, absolutely.
That's so nice.
Yeah, so it was very special to meet her and see her studio, see her other work. I mean, I don't remember 100% now, but I think that the majority of the work was capturing the essence of the region. Yeah.
That's lovely. What a nice piece. What a nice etching. It's so clean. Yeah, it's really nice.
It's so beautiful. We have it hanging in our house at the end of a hallway. It's almost like we're worshipping the salt cod, because you walk down the hallway and there it is. So it's a pretty special piece to us. We adore it. So I thought it was a great one to start with today.
Yes.
That's a great one.
I love that you have a theme. We don't have a theme.
Nope.
That's okay. I figured, why not?
So our first piece, though, is also an etching. It's much smaller. And this piece is done by Tamara Szponder, who lives in Quebec. And we went to school with Tamara. Well, Kyle and Tamara and Jenna were all in the same program.
2005 to 2009, Queen's University. Go Gales, go.
What is that? I don't know anything.
I think
about
that was our sports team.
Queen's sports team is. But this was a piece that Tamara did one time when she was staying with us quite a few years ago. I'm not sure the exact year, but shortly after we opened, I think 2010.
Yeah.
So it's a little small etching, just a hard ground etching, where there's sort of like, it's almost like you're looking through like a hole in a tree at this like figure. It looks like sort of like a female figure who's tilted forward and covered in hair that has like a similar sort of texture to the wood, which I really like.
Yeah.
And a lot of Tamara's work has sort of these like almost animal human hybrid creatures that she's created, and they're a little spooky, they're a little dark. They're all like very like sensitively drawn though, like there's like a gentleness to them, even if they're like a little angry looking, because some of them get a little angry looking to me. Sorry, Tams, if you don't think they look angry, but some of them look a little angry to me. Angst in there. But they're always like really sensitively created, and there's like generally like some really beautiful textures, and like I just love the drama of this piece with this back, like the foreground like luring you into this scene that's very private. It's clearly not meant to be viewed by people. Like you feel very voyeuristic. So yeah, I just really like this piece a lot.
It's pretty special. Yes. It's a little bit hard to see on the screen, but oh, okay, that's better. I can see now.
So
it's
that's
a piece, and it certainly has that kind of voyeuristic feel to it, like we're peeping through a hole.
Yes, we're peeping through a hole at a figure that is like maybe going through something. I'm not sure what's happening, but she seems sad. But yeah, I really like Tamara's work, and we have some really nice etchings by Tamara here.
Yeah.
Some like that are larger, that are actually just animals. She's done a lot of like animal pieces, like deer and bats and little foxes, and we have some that are just like piles of tiny sticks and piles of like, what is the other one that's like a pile of? There's like two little piles. One's little sticks.
They're both sticks.
Are they both sticks?
Maybe.
Anyways, little piles. They're just like very delicate, conscious, sensitive little works that I don't know. I just really like Tamara's work.
They're really quite sweet. They're like very gentle and like very, very detailed and small and thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
Meticulous would be a word I would use to describe them.
Yeah, and not usually very large. Like most of her work is like about that size or maybe like a little bit bigger. So always working in this like small scale, which I think just adds to the intimacy of the images that she's like making, which I like a lot.
And does she mainly work in etching, or does she work in other media?
Mostly now she's been painting. She's been doing a lot of digital painting recently. I think that like just accessing a print shop is not easy. So
she's kind of like the artist that we were just talking about. She's very interdisciplinary. So it depends on what kind of idea she wants to work with, and that will determine what medium she has, or like it will be constraints of what you have access to. Right. Cool. So I think that she's just kind of all over the place sometimes.
Yeah, I think right now it's mostly digital work. She's been posting a lot of digital portraits recently. So yeah, a little quite like different work than this.
Well, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I
imagine that it's grown since
that's true. 10 years is a while.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait to check her out. I'm going to look up her work and see what else I can see.
Yeah, well, we'll put links to everybody. So
cool.
All right. What's your next
number
shade?
2? Okay, we have to just do a brief adjustment here. So I'm going to first just take this one down. Just give me 1 sec. I'm going to open the drape so you guys can see better.
Okay.
This one isn't framed.
Brighten it up.
Is that a bit brighter?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I'm going to just have to do a bit of a...
You go for it. This looks great. I really enjoy the roundness.
Yeah.
I know. So there's some... Okay. I might be a bit wonky, but I think that's the best way that you can see the painting. So, as discussed, my pieces have a Newfoundland theme. So this painting, so Johnny and I, at the beginning of our trip, spent some time in St. John's, Newfoundland, and we were in an antique shop, and we both separated and did the rounds and came back to regroup if anything had piqued our interest, and we both had spotted this painting, and there's just something about it that was incredibly captivating. So it's the signature is J.M. Butler, and the painting was made in 1981.
Okay.
I don't know who J.M. Butler is, but I'll tell you one more thing when I finish, because I have something else briefly to show as well. But the painting, so first of all, I'll actually just hold it in a bit closer so you guys can get a good look. Can you see there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little bridge.
So it just captures...
is it framed as a circle, or is the work
Well, wait
circular?
till you see this, Chrissy. You're going to be very impressed. So it was hanging on the wall, and when the gentleman took it down, it's a round canvas.
Oh my god.
That's wonderful.
Isn't that so special? And
yeah, to make a round canvas is so much work.
So it's so unique. It's a beautiful round canvas. And I would hazard to guess that the artist also made the frame. It's painted in this beautiful kind of subtle color to complement the painting. But the painting, I'm going to show you something else briefly in 1 second. I believe the artist is a Newfoundland artist, but I obviously don't know because I wasn't able to find out too much about him or her. But it just seems to capture an essence of Canada that I can relate to. So it's a moment in nature, but there's this bridge, and maybe you are out hiking, you're on a journey, you're on the road, or you're in the water. You're wondering what wildlife, what lives in this stream or river, and you know, maybe at some seasons there's torrents of water, but right now it's so calm. And for both Johnny and I, I'm just going to rest it back down again a second. So we were lucky enough to see the Alex Colville exhibition at the ADW a few years back.
Yeah.
And it has that bit of that feel to it. Or
Yeah.
maybe Christopher Pratt painting, who is a Newfoundland artist. And I don't know who this person was, but there's just something so special about this piece, and it spoke to Johnny and I. So when we inquired about it in the antique shop, the shop owner said, well, wait for this. We have another piece by the same artist. And I can't not show you this one too, because of course, how could we separate them? We had to get this one too. So this very much looks like could be a Newfoundland scene. This one is just signed J. Butler, and this one is from 1980.
Oh, so the M came in later. Fucking curious, right?
Yes.
I love these kind of mystery works, though, because one of our first shares was a print that we have no idea who made it or where it came from, but it's this beautiful, gorgeous work. And, you know, we really love it. And I just like the idea of like resonating with a piece without knowing who made it or anything about them. I think it just shows like how powerful a work can speak to somebody. The colors that are used in these I really like, especially that last one you just showed, that really like just so desaturated. It's really good.
Yeah. They're really, really beautiful. And I totally agree with you. It would be, you know, it would be special one day. Maybe someone will see this and say, that's, you know, that's my granddad or that's my grandmother who painted that. I highly doubt I'll ever find out that. But like you say, it doesn't matter. And it's just special to find pieces. And I think that's how I like to be with pieces of art that I bring into my house. And that's how I would hope to be when I speak to people who look at my art, that it doesn't have to have a specific label or be something. It just has to be something that speaks to you and is very special and coveted, and you want to surround yourself with pieces like that. So I think that this piece is absolutely fits that kind of category.
Yeah, and I think that it also does have that it could be anywhere and at any time feeling, which is really nice. Like you had mentioned, it really does have this sort of like wandering in somewhere in Canada. I feel like most people we know have like experienced something of like that nature, that scene where you're wandering around and you come across this like instance where a man-made structure is in this like dense forest, and yeah, like I can imagine just taking a picture of that.
Exactly, that's how we feel. We are very lucky where we live. We have a conservation area just around the corner that has not only hiking trails, but we can access the lake and enter via our canoe into this kind of body of water. And at the back end of it, when we paddle in our canoe, we say to ourselves, we're in our painting. I mean, it's not quite, obviously the water's higher than this, but it...
Yeah, that would be bad for your canoe. Oh, I love it. I think like finding art in antique shops or in vintage shops or at yard sales is also just such a like fun treat. And I feel like a lot of time people, you know, paint just for themselves in their home, and then years pass, maybe they pass away, and then like family collects the work and they're like, I don't really know what to do with this, and then it ends up, you know, at an antique store or in a yard sale. And to have somebody that has no connection with that family, doesn't know that person, and sees something special in this like hobby or like, I don't know, just activity that somebody devoted a lot of time. Like obviously this person's devoted a lot of time to painting because these paintings are very like well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I just like, that just makes me so happy.
It makes me happy too. We have it in our bedroom. I love it. I really love it. Okay, I'm excited about your next one.
So our next one is also a print, but it's a print with handwriting. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see.
Oh, blow it up. Do we get?
So this is a piece done by Oksana. and Oksana, I'm not really sure how to say your last name, so I'm not going to try. It starts with an H. It's like Harlot, I don't know. I'm not sure. Not really great with pronouncing names, so I apologize. But Oksana is awesome, and we've done a lot of projects with Oksana. And she's in Toronto, and she runs co-runs an organization that is like a folk camp for like Ukrainian folk traditions. So we've done projects with Oksana where we make Pasenki eggs, which is really great. And Oksana stayed with us quite a few years ago. When's this one done?
She's been back and forth quite a few times.
Yeah,
so
not
they blur together.
Sure, the year of this.
I want to say 2013. Just random stab in the dark.
Yeah, and at the time, she was working on kind of creating almost like a visual diary of experiences. So in this piece, these are small versions of what were very large illustrations of sort of each day at the residency. So these are tiny screen prints that were done on a very thin, transparent paper and then collaged onto this larger sheet. And each one has like a memory of that day while she was here and an image that resonated with that particular instance. So, day one, first day played music on shuffle, rye whiskey played. First drawing is of a flask I brought full of whiskey. Day two, the wooden spoon. There was a lot of wooden spoons and spatulas to choose from. This one was made in Africa.
Look, there is dates.
Oh,
there are the objects. It's 2013.
Day three,
nailed it.
box elder bug or maple bug, harmless bugs that find their way into warm homes. And this one went down my shirt. So it's just like funny little memories of like being here and what happened while she was here. And I have pictures of her studio space at the time, but like a lot of these were like these almost
huge,
like
they were large.
Yeah, they were like half a person sized paintings, like little illustrated paintings of each of the objects, and they were just around the studio. And then she made the small screen printed versions that were then collaged. And the editioning is one of question mark, an unpredictable amount, which I also really liked. But Oksana does like a lot of cool projects, and she's such an advocate for celebrating folk traditions, folk art, seeing like the value and time that goes into the creation of craft, which I think is so important, because I think sometimes that that can get a little lost in translation. Like people don't see just the sheer amount of skill that goes into like the creation of, a textile piece or like a little Pasenki egg. There's so much detail and knowledge and passed down information that goes into those types of pieces. So I really appreciate that about her.
I have to ask you a question. Sorry, what is the egg thing that you're saying? I can't quite catch, and I'm not too sure what you're saying because you said it earlier too.
So it's a type of Ukrainian egg where it's like almost like batik. So you take this little tool, which is on here, this little guy.
Okay.
And it's like a wooden, so this is a piece of wood, and then there's like a hole sort of drilled in the top of the wood, and this is a metal funnel. And you fill the metal funnel with beeswax, and then you take your egg and you draw onto the egg with the beeswax, and then you dip your egg into a dye, and then you would pull it out, and then you would draw more patterning onto the egg, and then you dip it in another dye, and you would continue to do that for as many layers of color as you want. So the beeswax is protecting each color layer as you go. And then after you heat the wax on the egg up and wipe it off, and it reveals
like a pattern,
like a very, or sometimes very, very elaborate patterning. And a lot of symbolism and imagery is passed down throughout the decades that you would put into these little egg patterns that would, you know, reference back to different historical symbols.
Amazing. And you got to learn and create these eggs with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a master at this particular type of egg dyeing came and worked with us a few years ago, and her pieces were, I do not even know. It is so hard to draw like in the round like that, and the wax is, it's like a very like simple tool that you're using. It's like just a cone of metal shoved through a piece of wood. And so sometimes you get these like blobs.
I was going to say blobs. I think I'd make it all blobby.
Yeah, it's very difficult to control. So when you watch somebody who just like has clearly been doing it for such a long time that they're just able to know exactly how to make the flow be perfect, their lines are perfect, like somehow they can draw a straight line around an egg, and you're like, how?
Straight lines are never your thing.
Yeah, I'm not great with straight lines, like even on paper on a flat surface, so I guess I shouldn't have expected anything different. But yeah, I just, working with Oksana has been such a pleasure, and we were going to be doing another workshop with her this year, and then obviously
when she stayed with us every subsequent year, she's come back and done a workshop with us that's been open to the public. I think we even did one with like the Napanee Art Gallery.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So cool. Yeah, but I just like, I think it's so valuable to celebrate craft, especially when you're like working as a visual artist. I know there's like, you know, so this history of tension between like fine art world, design world, craft world, and yeah, I just think that like they're all very valuable. So
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
So that's our second share.
Okay, so shall I move to number 3? So number 3 requires a bit of a move again. So we're actually going to move the camera this time. So hopefully this goes okay.
Look at that transition. Well done.
Did I? Oh, it's like I planned it or something. Whether I can. Ooh. Okay, I'll just be kind of lurking here. It's just me with my wallpaper.
This is what I was kind of imagining we would see when you came on and the wall was white. I was like, oh, okay.
No,
wasn't what I was anticipating.
I feel like a newsreader. Reading the news live from Bonavista, Newfoundland. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, so back in 2017, I was invited to travel to Newfoundland to create a collection of designs. And I spent a number of weeks there, and I came back with all my inspiration. And the design, you know, I'm just going to see if I can, oh, okay, I don't want to mess this up. I'll just leave, we won't mess with it because it'll probably all fall down.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want that. So this design is my Bonavista houses design, which is a part of my Newfoundland collection. So I got to spend 10 or 11 days located in Bonavista and exploring that whole peninsula. And I decided to make a design actually inspired by the town. So this particular pattern features a number of the historical buildings and houses in Bonavista. And I picked this pattern to share because I think it's resonated with so many people. So I think it, especially in times like now, in the broadest sense, and kind of connecting with that feeling of home, I think a lot of people have kind of connected with it in that way, and it's kind of reminiscent of something sentimental and comforting. But also these little houses and buildings are actually houses and buildings that are located in this town. So many people have reached out to me, and I just got a message last week of a lady who is living in this pink house right here right now.
That's adorable.
And she's so excited. She's like, oh my goodness, I'm living in this house, and it appears in this wallpaper. So it's been quite special to connect with people in that way. And I think also, like the work that you were just showing, to take something that maybe wouldn't normally appear in a design or a piece of artwork, and bring it all together and put it into that forum, I think is quite special for people. And yeah,
I just so too.
It's a piece that has resonated with many, so I thought I would share this today.
I love it. And I think that like Oksana's piece, like the idea of sort of like capturing this record of an experience you've had in a way that can be opened up to more people who've probably had similar experiences but maybe don't have a way of visualizing that or sharing it in the same way that you're sharing it. I think it's really interesting because there's probably lots of people that have like gone to these buildings and then they can share in your story of being at those spaces as well, which is really neat.
I think so too. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how it's really connected with a lot of people. And there are a number of spaces in Bonavista that now have the wallpaper, which is the coolest thing you can imagine. It's gone full circle from me finding an inspiration there and creating this piece of work, and then these people are connecting with it and putting it in their space. So that's
it.
Special. Yeah.
How many little houses are on there? Like how many different? Yeah. Is there, because it's repeated, right? So was there like did you sort of have a set number of like, I'm gonna like it's gonna showcase these 10 or whatever?
I think there is around 10, but you've caught me off guard on that one. I can't off the top of my head, I'm not too sure, but I think this is around 10. Yeah.
I love it. I think my favorite is the it looks sort of like a gray and red. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm pointing at the screen like as if you can see. No, okay, go up again. So there's the blue one up over to your, the next other side of the blue one.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
This is a big building in the center of town. Is there that you can kind of see it above my head too.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
This is a big hall in the center of town. So it's really kind of, this was, I think, the hub of the town. And then this building is a very historical building in the Mock Becker plantation, which is right down on the water. And yeah, so a lot of people have stories. I think actually I also got a message from, I don't know if you can see you can kind of see that one, or this one here.
Yeah.
Somebody that had spent some time in Bonavista and stayed in this little house.
I love it.
Such a charming and unique place. And I also wanted to make a quick mention too. So while we were in Bonavista, of course, on our trip, we met so many brilliant artists and people. And we connected with an amazing artist who's based in Bonavista called Jane Walker. And Jane Walker is founder and director of a brilliant place called Union House Arts. And it's located on the Bonavista Peninsula in a place called Port Union, which has recently been designated as a historical Canadian site, National Historical Site of Recognition or something. And it's the most amazing fishing village. And they have created there the most amazing art space and gallery and artist residency program. So when we were there, I wasn't creating designs as a part of a residency program. However, for people that wanted to do something like what I did and travel there and be inspired, maybe work on your existing practice or be inspired by the region, I would highly recommend it. So when we were there in 2017, they were working on the renovation of the buildings. And the art space is actually located in one of the old fishing cottages. And so we got to see, it was very unique too, because wallpaper has quite a history in Newfoundland in the old salt box houses, because people used to put it on the walls to stop the draft coming in through the walls. So quite a lot of the old buildings have these layers of the most beautiful printed wallpaper. And so we got to see the kind of unfurling of this space and it developing into this brand new creative space. And so I just really wanted to mention that today, because
hopefully she'll come back.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, this one's bad. You're still buffering, Kate. You'll catch up to us.
Oh, the internet. Oh no, come back.
Something I do really like about Kate's why people resonate with it a lot is I feel like it captures some sort of authenticity of this area and this space. And I think that that's what draws people to it.
Yeah, I agree. I also just think that there's like something really special about like the handling of the drawings. That's probably talking a little bit about what you're saying. Yay!
Sorry, I was just nattering on there. I don't know when you lost me, but I just wanted to bring up about the artist residency program, because when I had the opportunity to go, it was part self-funded, and I was also provided with some resources by the gentleman that invited me out to Newfoundland. But I would highly recommend this residency program at Union House Arts as a great opportunity for somebody that wanted to make a similar type of trip.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard wonderful things about going to Newfoundland, and like there's also like a beautiful print shop there, and this is backwards. I always forget this. So yeah, there's lots of great work. So this is an update because we have to be like aware of the fact that we're gonna run out of our of art in our collection at some point. So we're trying to do updates about our own practice if we have done something new. So
Chrissy's painting.
A few weeks ago, I was showing this work in progress, and I think that I'm done it now. I think this is finished. So I've been working, Kate, on like making my little shapes that I do over and over and over again into sort of portraits. So portraits of the shapes. Susie thinks this looks like a seed pod, which is a bonus because she usually thinks everything I draw looks like boobs or penises. So win for me, I'd say.
We'll just blame that on Susie.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been like layering up, working with oil paints, which I haven't done in a really long time. So that's been really quite enjoyable. I forgot how much I like them because you can just like layer so much easier. And I've been working with a lot of glazes. So I started just researching some like old Dutch master paintings and how they work in like very, very slow, like thin layers of paint, which is so against my nature. Like all I want to do, oh, we've lost her again. No! But all I want to do is like layer on like thick giant globs of paint. It's like it just feels so good to paint like that. But this I've been trying to be controlled and careful and like doing soft, thin layers. So I started with acrylic on here because I'm patient, but I'm not that patient. So I used acrylic here mostly, and the only thing that I'm having a hard time with is the acrylic is super matte, and the oil, because I've been using walnut oil as my, like to thin it so that it doesn't create a horrible, terrible smell in my house. But it's really, really shiny. So the only thing that I'm like struggling with is like the flatness of this versus the shininess of everything that's going on around it. So I don't know if I'm going to do something to...
Oh, I quite like that element.
Oh, Kyle likes it. So, but yeah, so that's my painting update.
Do you think that this new kind of process and technique that you're using, do you think it is maybe stemming from the place that you're in due to where things are at right now, or is that being a bit dramatic to ask something like, because I mean, how can we not all be, we're making work, and like what you said at the beginning of this time, I also felt quite paralyzed. I was not able to, you know, a lot of people ask me where I was at with my business, and you know, things were what they were on paper, but creatively I just felt paralyzed and didn't feel creative. But I, like you now, am kind of like feeling a bit more grounded and able to make art again. But do you think that maybe it's been to do with your kind of emotional place that you're at, that you kind of started with this new technique and kind of taking things in a bit of a different direction?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, this piece I started digitally last year, and have been putting off painting it physically until recently. So I think that like having to sort of pivot the way that we're operating day to day has stemmed from what's going on. And so trying to force myself to be in the studio like a job and not like completely lose focus because we've had to adjust. But I think that like this like choice to kind of move in this direction came out of the fact that I was finding that the paintings that I started doing when I was in undergrad were huge and really like a joyous thing to do, like angry in the way that all art can make you angry, where you're like, I don't know what to do next, why am I even doing this, blah, you know, whatever, the inner dialogue of an artist. But I had sort of like found a rhythm with it. Like I knew what shapes I really liked, what colors I really liked, how I liked to deal with the composition. And I think at a certain point it was feeling more like a rhythm or like a dance that I had been practicing over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to put that aside and try something completely different.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, it was like I've been playing this piece my whole career. Yes. So maybe I need to try a new piece. And so this is me sort of trying to like stay in a similar genre. Like I love abstraction. I love like giving sort of a presence to a mark and to a shape or a form, even if it's not representational of anything that exists. So this was like, I think, a way for me to be like, okay, like how can I really showcase these weird little marks that I've been doing for like 10 years in a new way. And so that I think has been the push. So that's what
you felt the freedom to do it. It was like, yeah, what does it matter? It doesn't, if I don't enjoy the process or I don't like the outcome, it doesn't matter. I don't need to. Well, actually, you have been showing people because you showed them when you started it, and you're showing them the update today. So you're being very accountable for your new process and sharing it with us. But
well, you know, what's life without a little vulnerability, I guess.
Living on the edge.
We're gonna get cut off in 41 seconds.
Okay.
So,
okay. Well, this has been so special. I really appreciate you inviting me to be a part of this.
Oh, we're so glad that you came, and yeah, we just like love you and we love your work, and it's so nice to see your face and hear your voice.
I love you guys too.
All right, yeah. Have a super great weekend, and hopefully one day we can have an outdoor social distance hangout.
Yeah.
Soon. I think it's going to happen soon. Love you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you so much again. Thanks for
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks everyone for hanging out with us.